Hi friends, welcome to Shavasana. Today for our yin yoga class, let's get started down on the mat in child's pose. So just coming to the back of the mat, open your knees kind of wide, maybe as wide as the mat. Sit your hips back and down onto your heels and start to walk your hands out forward until you bring your head down to the mat. Try to just release here, let go through your spine. Start to turn inward and focus on your breath, taking deep breaths through your nose. Long, slow inhales and deep, slow exhales. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And perhaps focusing on an intention if you would like to. You don't have to, it's just an option. If you do set an intention, it can be whatever you wish it to be. It can be physical, it can be spiritual, it can be just focusing on your breath. It can be something outside of this practice, something in your life, a goal you want to accomplish. You choose it, or don't choose it. And just continue to breathe, either focusing on that intention as you breathe, or just holding onto the breath and focusing on that as you deeply inhale and exhale through the nose. Allowing yourself to let go. Perhaps if you start to feel yourself really releasing in this pose, you can open the knees even wider. Get your chest down in between those knees, bringing the hips closer to the heels. Continue to focus on breath as you just release your body deeper into the pose, knowing on those inhales that prana, that energy is circulating through your body, allowing you to get deeper into the fibers, into the tissues, into the fascia of your body. If you have your eyes closed, gently begin to open them. And then everyone, start to walk your hands back a little bit so that you can lift your head up off the mat. Then with your head and your torso lifted, start to lift your hips up. Bring your knees, hips width distance apart, feet as well. And from here, start to walk your hands out in front of you, walking them as far down the mat as you can, all the way out in front of you until you feel the need to release your forearms to the mat. Then bring your head down to the mat, the forehead, coming into our puppy pose as a counter to the flexion we had in our spines in child's pose. Now we have some extension. Keep the hips right above the knees and allow yourself to just deepen here. Focus on those deep inhales and long exhales. Perhaps bring your chin to the mat if you feel inclined to do so. Slowly start to push your forehead into the mat so then you can lift your forehead up off the mat and then lift your forearms. Bring your hips down onto the mat and then lower everything down onto the mat, coming into a prone position. Everything is out on the mat. Total front side of your body is grounded. Arms are still stretched out in front of you. From here, simply bend your right knee and bring it up to your side, maybe bringing the sole of your right foot to the inside of your left thigh, or maybe just keeping that heel a little bit of a distance away from your left leg. So either this prone tree pose or a half frog. And then simply turn your head to the right, bringing your left ear down onto the mat. If you feel any severe discomfort or anything with your arms stretched overhead, you can always change and bring them out to the sides or down by your sides. And then gently starting to straighten that right leg out, down on the mat. Bring your forehead to the mat, switching sides. Bend the left knee, bring it up and out to the side. Either placing the sole of that foot onto the inner right thigh or keeping some distance in between the heel and the leg. Trying to keep the hips square. The focus is on the breath. Release your right ear down onto the mat as you turn your head to the left. Then slowly start to straighten that left leg out behind you, bringing your forehead back to the mat. Walk your hands back as you lift your head. Push the hands into the mat to lift your hips. Turn to face the long edge of the mat. We're going to take frog now. So that was a prep to get into this pose. We did one side, then the other. Now we'll do both all together. Start to walk your knees out pretty wide as you feel comfortable in. Outward so that the inner ankles come down to the mat or the floor as well as you can. If you can't turn them out, that's okay too, but if you can, try to do so. And then start to walk your forearms down onto the mat. Try to keep your hips pushing back so they're right in between your knees and they're not moving forward. They're in the same line as your knees, maybe even a little further back. And really sit down deeply into this frog pose as you release into your hips. Perhaps opening the knees a little wider when you start to feel a little looser. Or perhaps not, just go with what feels good in your body. Try to find that edge, that comfort in the discomfort. So not in pain, but being just on that edge where you feel a deep stretch, the edge of comfortability. 30 more seconds. Start to come out of it, maybe pushing forward onto your arms, bringing the hips down, and heel toeing the feet together behind you. And then maybe push up to a seated position. Roll down onto your backs. And bring your right knee in towards your chest. Bend the left knee as well, sole of the left foot is on the mat. And now simply open your right knee out to the side as you place the right ankle on top of the left knee. From here, you can either stay here in this reclined pigeon pose or start to pick up this whole shape of your legs, bring it towards your chest. Thread your arms around the back of your left leg. And just breathe into the hips. Remembering to go back to focusing on the breath if you ever start to feel that sensation of discomfort or perhaps distraction. Always returning to the breath to help us release, dig a little deeper, or perhaps find something to focus on. If you need to take it deeper or would like to at one point, you can try wrapping your hands around the front of the left shin, pulling the shape in even closer. Try to relax the back side of your body so the head is heavy, the back is long and grounded, the shoulder blades are melting down. Continue to focus on the breath. Just take those deep inhales and exhales through your nose. And start to set your left foot down, keeping this shape in your legs. Open your arms wide to a T. And then drape both of your legs, holding this shape over to the left. Bringing the sole of the right foot to the mat, the right knee points upward, finding a twist as well as a hip stretch. Try to actively point that right knee towards the ceiling, bringing the sole of the right foot to the mat, The right ankle is still in front of the left knee, and you'll feel this stretch in your outer hips if you actively push that knee up towards. Gently start to come out of this, maybe uncrossing the legs first and bringing them back to the mat in center. Soles of the feet are on the mat, knees are bent. Arms come back down by your sides. Now this time, bring the left knee in towards the chest. Start to open it outward and then place the outside left ankle on top of the right knee. Perhaps staying here and focusing on just continuing to push that left knee away from you as you flex the left foot. Or perhaps bringing this shape up and in towards your chest, reaching up and wrapping those hands around the back of your right thigh. Continue to flex the left foot and push the knee away from you. And if on the other side, after a few breaths, you felt the need to go deeper, you can always reach forward with your hands and wrap the hands around the right shin, bringing the shape even closer to your body. Release your head heavy to the mat. Let the back relax and melt down. Shoulder blades melt down. Focusing on the breath, using that prana to help you release into your hips. And then gently release the right foot back down onto the mat, keeping the shape of your legs. Open your arms out to the sides into a wide T. And then start to drape the shape of your legs towards the right, bringing the sole of the left foot to the mat or to the floor. Left knee points up. Actively push that left knee upward so it points up at the ceiling, finding the twist while also finding the hip stretch. Continuing to return to the breath. Every time you start to feel like you need to push through something or you need to return from a distraction, going back to that breath, deep inhales through your nose and long exhales through your nose. Then gently start to release, maybe uncrossing that left leg, bringing both knees to center, soles of the feet on the mat. And then bend both knees in towards your chest. Give them a big squeeze and then open them up wider than your rib cage, pulling them down around your rib cage. Reach forward in between the legs with your arms and grab the ankles or perhaps the outer edges of the feet or maybe even the big toes with your peace fingers. Once you have your grip, start to flex your feet toward the ceiling, bringing the calves perpendicular to the floor. The knees, the thighs are still pulling down, wrapping around your rib cage. Try to keep the entire spine grounded. So the head is heavy, the neck is neutral, you're not hyperextending it. And the shoulder blades melt down, the entire back melts down, the lower back melts down onto the mat. You're not rolling up your tailbone here, you're keeping it grounded. And just continue to pull on your ankles or your feet so you can continue to bring those thighs, those knees further down around your rib cage. Focusing on the breath as you allow those hips to release and open. Just 30 more seconds here. And gently begin to release your happy baby, allowing those legs to lengthen along the mat, extending them all the way down. Open the feet up as wide as the mat, maybe even a little bit wider, and allow the feet to flop open. Bring the arms by your sides, palms face up. Make them a little wider than usual so your elbows are off the mat. Close your eyes and allow the entire back side of your body to melt down, to relax, as you find some rest and repose in our final resting posture, Shavasana. And gently begin to bring your awareness and your perception back to your body, to the room, to this moment. Just feeling any sensations you might feel in your body as you start to move your fingers and your toes. Maybe noticing the expansion and contraction of your rib cage as you breathe. And bend both of your knees and lift your left arm overhead. Bring your right hand to your chest. Then gently roll to the left side, coming into fetal pose with your left arm acting as a pillow, right hand coming to the mat. Keeping the eyes closed, start to push your right hand into the floor to start to lift your torso up. Maybe the left hand joins it, pushing you all the way up into a seated position, finding a seat that feels good in your body at this moment. Allowing your hands to fall wherever they do naturally. Perhaps returning to revisit the intention you set at the beginning of practice.
And just asking yourself if there's anything to do with it, if it is done, if it needs to be done, if you want to let it go, whatever you feel. Be at peace with that. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Palms come to touch. Exhale, bring your hands down in front of your heart center. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with us today. Namaste.